Today I will talk about a way of preserving food, which is water bath canning, and I will go into details of how to get started on canning. Hello and welcome to Back to Basics Homestead. My name is Annie and today I wanted to film a little different video because over the last month, maybe over the summer, a lot of people either buy bulk or had the chance of having a lot of food given to them or harvested a lot. Anyways, they had a lot of food. I didn't know how to preserve them. And I also had another friend asking me different types of preserving methods. Also another one asked me, they had a lot of apples. They had no idea what to do. And then for me, it's normal. It's been 4 years that I do this. So I said, well, apple butter, apple sauce, and I had in mind that they had 60 pounds of apples and that they were canning it and stuff like that. And then they stopped me and they said, Annie, stop. We have no idea what you're talking about. And in my videos, I talk about certain things like mason jars and what they're called. And it got me thinking. When I started 4 years ago, I had no idea of how everything was called. Google was my friend and I got lost at one point. So this video is about the basics of one way of preserving that I do a lot during the summer, which is water bath canning. Water bath canning is basically you put food in a jar in boiling water and you boil it for a certain amount of time and the jar seals and you're able to put it in your pantry. So this is an example. I made some spicy pickled pepper relish. So once my jar was full, I just submerged it in water and boiled it for a certain amount of time. And now the lid is now sealed. So this is a water bath method. And if you read a little bit about it, you can preserve food from 12 months to 18 months. I have never went past the 18-month mark because I don't can for future many years. I just can for the next 18 months at a time. People say that they can serve longer than that, but I have never pushed those limits. I've never experienced it, so I would not be able to tell you how that goes. But I do keep mine for up till about 18 months. Basics of water bath canning. The first thing I would suggest is not the actual equipment of water bath canning. The first investment I would suggest is a recipe book. This is my recipe book and it's actually falling apart. There's some pages that are ripping out and I've used it a lot, and a lot of the recipes that I use are in this book. It's by Ball, B-A-L-L, Complete Book of Home Preserving. There are newer versions of this book. I have the 2012. Yeah, so it's pretty old, but there are a newer version, but this book is still good. Why am I saying that this is important? It's because there's a lot of recipes out there that are not considered safe canning. When you start, I always suggest start with a book, a trusted source. And this book is actually a trusted source that you can use the recipe. There's also another book that I'm planning to get next year. It's called The Joy of Pickling. I've been doing a lot of pickling this year and I was able to find some recipes available online, but they're not obviously all online. And I want to get myself that book. There's also the website of the Ball book. Not all the recipes are available on that website. There's the Bernardin site for the Canadians. There's also a Bernardin book that you can get your hands on. And those are pretty much the resources. And Healthy Canning, I think it's called Healthy Canning. I'll put the link up here about another source that I go. It's either Healthy Canning or Healthy Another Word Canning. It's around those words. I will link it up here. So this is the first thing I suggest. It is investment. I think I paid mine in the $20-ish, and I would say that now it's a good time to actually look on Amazon. A lot of people would maybe have a little discount on it, and since it's not the biggest time. In that book, you also have a bit of fermenting and some pressure canning. I am not comfortable with pressure canning. I will receive my pressure canner within the next few weeks. So I will experiment on that and I will be able to talk further more about that, but I'm not comfortable for the moment. Now that that is said, that is the investment. The rest, I bought the jars. I went on all the available classified eyes I could find, and I got myself my first big batches of canning jars. I was able to buy at least 10 to 20 cases of jars. I would get them between 25 cents each to 50 cents each. Over that, I found that it was just better buying them new, because when you buy them new, it comes actually it actually comes with the rings. So past the 50, 70 cents, I was more leaning to buying them new. Now, here is a little guide for you. There are a couple of jars. This is a half pint jar, which is about 1 cup. So half pint. This is a pint. It's about 2 cups. This is a standard mouth jar. In the pint, you have also a wide mouth jar. So the jar is exactly the same size. So it's a half pint, but the mouth of the jar is wider. So that's why we call them regular size mouth, wide mouth. Then you have quarts, which is about 1 liter. You have the standard open, and you also have the wide mouth. Usually the wide mouth in Canada has like these nice elegant designs on them, and they're a bit more expensive. So when I see cases of those used, I jump on them. They are about $1 to $2 more expensive per case. And in Canada, I was able to get these. I think they're a little under half a gallon. So they're about, I would say 1.4, 1.5 liters. They're not available a lot here. So I got 2 cases of those used, and I love to ferment in these, and I love to store beans and stuff like that, dry goods, and these ones are normally wide mouth jars. This is a ring. This is a lid. You have the standard size and the wide mouth. This is something you will have to invest every single year. They are not reusable for canning. So if once like these 2 are used, when I have an open jar, I and it's done, I just wash this and put this away. And then when I have something I do not need to seal, I reuse these and I just store them in my fridge. But you can't reuse them in the water bath or the pressure canner. Same thing with the wide mouth. That's pretty much as much information I can give you. These, with everything going on, are hard in Canada and United States to put your hands on. I actually had to purchase new jars because I was out of lids. I was lacking jars anyway, so I had to purchase them regardless. So it's not that much of a big deal. But as soon as you see them back in store next year and you want to do canning, or over the next month, start gathering these lids. The rings, there are also a pack of 12 rings, 12 lids together. If you have jars and you have the rings, you can just buy these lids and start accumulating your inventory. I normally go through about 400 of these and a little bit of these, and now that I am going through the process of using the wide mouth and the regular mouth, I am starting to fall more in love with the wide mouth for multiple reasons. One, it's easier to fill the jars, it's easier to wash the jars, my hand actually fits in the jar, and overall they are a little bit more expensive, but for me, I found that these are harder to clean. And if you have like 10, 20, under 100 jars to wash every season, like, it's not that bad. But I have now, at the moment, I think I have near 400 jars canned. So I manually washed 400 jars. So I prefer the wide mouth, and if I can get my hands on used ones, I will, or I will wait next season when they're available back in store. I will purchase them. The next thing that you will need is an actual canner. This is a 20, I think it's 21 or 22 quarts, and it has this in the bottom, so that when you put your jars inside, the jars are not in contact with the heat, and therefore you won't have cracking jars. This is something I bought used for $5 or $10. No, this one was 10. In this one, you can can the half pints, the pints, and the quarts. When I started, I did not start big, so I got myself for $5. I think this one is the 11 or 12 quarts, and it does not fit the big jars. So if you get the smaller one, you will only be able to can these two sizes in that canner. I have both because when I do a lot of jelly jars, this is called a jelly jar, I can use that one, and I can do a double recipe and then use my bigger canner for the bigger size. This one has 7 of the 1 liter jars, and I think it's 10 of this one. Like I don't remember, so that would have to be I'm gonna put it on the screen here how much the 2 canners can actually have in each, to give you an idea of which one you would want, which one would fit your needs. So this is the basic language to get you started as a water bath canner. And a lot of these things can be bought used. The book, I was not able to find it used. You can also ask it for Christmas. It would be a good Christmas gift that you can actually get for yourself. Read about it, find your recipes, and if you do not want to garden, in each recipes, it will give you the amount of pounds or a reference at the end of the book of how much pounds or tomatoes, example, you would need to buy bulk at the store or at the farm to actually make those recipes. Like, you don't have to have an actual garden to can. When I started the first year, my garden was an epic mess. I had to buy practically every single ingredient I needed to do my recipes, but I had a farm next to my house, and I just went through my book and I said, okay, I want tomato sauce, I want diced tomatoes, I want, my can was dirty. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do jam, I want to do jelly. So like by reading the book in advance, it gives you an idea of what you will be able to can for next year. And with fruits starting very early, like strawberries, you would normally start with strawberry jam. I'm gonna say one last thing before I let you go. Don't be afraid of water bath canning. If you have this book or any other reference I mentioned, it is very much detailed, step by step. Like, example, diced tomatoes. They're going to tell you 20 pounds of tomatoes. You're going to core them. So core means remove the inside of the tomato, remove the skin. And there's tips and tricks inside the book that's going to give you a good idea of how to remove the skins. There's different ways of removing the skins. So don't be afraid. Read your book, do a little bit of research online. And there's also very detailed videos on YouTube. I did make a couple this year, but I was still learning how to manage all my produce all at the same time, so I wasn't able to film for you guys. I do plan to add more content on canning next year. So if that is something that interests you, stay tuned on my channel for next year. And just follow every single step, and you will get through this. I promise. It's not rocket science. It's just follow every single step and you will do just fine. If any cans don't seal, I don't know where I put my relish. Like, this has been near 24 hours, so I will be able to remove this, wash my jar, and store it in my pantry. If it does not seal for any reason, all you have to do, don't throw it away. Just put it in your fridge and eat it right away. Worst case scenario, I will be eating relish within the next couple of days. I can put this in any recipes that I would be using peppers. If it was tomatoes, you would use them for any recipes that you would use tomatoes. So it's not lost. The only thing that would be a bummer is if a jar breaks. It does happen to me a bit every year. There was a too big temperature change and my jar would crack. So everything in that jar, unfortunately, would go to my compost pile and I would recycle the jar. So that would be the only reason why after doing the water bath canning process that you would have to dispose of your recipe. There are other guidelines, how-tos and stuff like that with water bath canning, but this video would be actually extremely long, but this is the basic of what you need to start water bath canning. So I hope all of this helps, and I thank you for passing by the homestead today. Take care. Bye.